Something that I think is worth pointing out is the Finns had a civil guard, which was, sort of a national guard, general population. You did your mandatory service, and then some people stayed in the civil guard. And guys in the civil guard, to make a long story short, by the early 1930s, they had an option to basically private purchase a rifle. The deal was the Finnish government didn't really have the money to buy the newest best, which would be that M2830. They didn't have the money to buy one of those for everybody. But you could, as an individual in the civil guard, put up a big chunk of the cost and get one. And it was still technically government property, but it was your rifle to take home, yours to take care of. And so if you were a practiced, interested, a serious shooter, it was far better because it meant you got a rifle that you knew all about rather than taking one out of the not really all that well-maintained depot. The most notable guy, obviously, Simo Häyhä, the name that everyone's going to recognize. That was the case with the rifle he took into the Winter War. It was his personal M2830 that he'd been shooting for like 8 years when he actually was called up for military service, for frontline military service. And there were tens of thousands of guys like that. So you have the real possibility here of someone who's attained the level of sergeant in the Finnish army at this point. He may well have his own personal rifle with a decade of experience on, or if not, he may have had that decade of experience on a very similar rifle. The 2830 and the M39 have the exact same sights.
This is interesting because, I mean, it draws so many parallels with the Swiss system.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the Swiss never went to war with anybody, probably for the sake of anyone who would try to go to war with Switzerland. But they don't even pay for their own weapon to keep at home in Switzerland. And so it's the funny thing is over here we pine after the SG 550s that come into the country, but over in Switzerland it's just sort of people just schlep it around at the local gun range on the weekend matches. They just carry it around, slam it around. Oh, they have to drill with it every year. But that breeds that serious familiarity with the weapon system, especially when you couple it with shooting matches, which I believe Simo was a frequent participant of shooting matches in Finland, correct?
Yeah, he was an enthusiastic competitive shooter. So the Finns held the World Rifle Championships in, I want to say it was 35. I probably should have looked this up before this live stream, but in the 1930s, and the Finnish team actually won using 2830s.
Wow. So to tie this back to Josh, though, this is interesting because a lot of times we have a conversation of the professional military soldier versus a competitor out in the field. And I've had some conversations recently with the performance of the National Guard sniper teams, the National Guard competitors. And a lot of those guys, if you look at the ranking in the US for a lot of these, the Best Ranger competition, international sniper competitions, the National Guards actually place pretty high in a lot of these competitions, specifically because these guys, I mean, do they get issued their weapon to bring home? No, they don't. But a lot of these guys have their own and they shoot all the time because they get to. Whereas, let's say me, when I was overseas for the couple years, I didn't get to touch my own weapon. The only time I got to use it was if I signed it out for qual or training, which during training, you don't get to do whatever you want to do and experiment with it. And so there's a significant advantage to somebody who could hold on to that weapon system and experiment with it on their own time. Even if it's on their own dime, they develop the type of familiarity that is unparalleled with even professional military forces.
Yep.
But anyways,
and that's why you guys are both wrong.